Should you be putting premium gas in your Lexus GX460, or is Lexus just trying to stick it to you? Let's talk about it. So, you've got yourself a Lexus GX460 and you love it, except Lexus says you need to use premium gas in this vehicle. Is that true? Well, the short answer is yes. But let's talk about it some more, because online there's generally two camps of Lexus GX460 drivers. One camp says do what Toyota recommends and use premium fuel 91 octane or better in your Lexus GX460 for best performance. And then there's another camp that says they've run 87 gas, aka regular fuel, for many miles and they've been A-OK. And in analyzing both camps of drivers and which is right and which is wrong, we first have to realize that there's not an objective answer. And when I say objective, I mean nobody's actually tracked or traced or recorded the engine data and the vehicle data when using premium gas versus regular gas. In other words, nobody's yet to plug in a scan tool and analyze, put this thing on a dyno and run it with regular and premium and see if there's any differences. So right out of the bat, we have to get out of the way that there's no objective answer here. However, there is logic that we can apply to this question of whether you should use regular gas or premium gas in your Lexus GX460. We know Lexus recommends premium gas, but the argument will be made this 4.6 liter V8 engine is in other vehicles such as the Toyota Tundra and formerly in the Toyota Sequoia. And that same engine, or at least a similar engine, such as the 4.7, was specified in those vehicles, and they used regular gas. So what's the deal? If the Tundra 4.6 takes regular gas, why does this Lexus GX460 need premium? And so there's no straight answer from Toyota. There's no date on it. So applying some logic, the only thing that I could put forward, and it's up to you to decide if what I'm going to say makes sense to you or not. The only thing that I could deduce that makes any sort of logical sense that I could find is this 4.6 liter V8 engine behind me that requires premium fuel is the only 4.6 liter V8 engine that is attached to a full-time four-wheel drive car. So in a nutshell, the one difference between all the other 4.6 liter applications, in other words, all the other cars that have this engine, is this the only one that has full-time four-wheel drive. Now what does that mean? Well, to the engine itself, it means extra load on the drivetrain, because unlike those other 4.6 liter applications, this 4.6 liter has to drive all four wheels all the time, whether on or off road. That means the front drive axle's gone, the rear drive axle's gone, all three differentials are going, and all four wheels are going. So we've got a lot of load on this 4.6 liter engine. It's also a high revving engine, and we know that high revs and high loads equal pinging or pre-detonation, which gets us back to why Toyota probably specifies premium fuel on your Lexus, and that's to prevent pre-ignition or pinging or knocking. They're all the same word, knocking. And knocking happens when the fuel air mixture ignites prematurely. Long story short, it's bad for your engine. And low octane fuel has a higher chance of pinging than high octane fuel. So the whole idea is put premium gas to keep your GX460 from pinging. Now, then the next question is, well, people have run it with 87, and meaning regular gas, and have been just fine. Well, the theory on the internet is that the knock sensors in your GX460 will detect the pinging and retard the ignition timing when you use regular gas or 87 octane in this GX460. As a result, the car will drive, quote, just fine, but does it? Now, again, there's no objective data. Nobody's actually measured, so we get anecdotal evidence such as, well, 87 feels the same, and then people say, well, if you put premium, it feels a little faster, feels a little bit more powerful. So again, that's anecdotal evidence. We don't see any objective evidence that running 87 is going to do any harm to the engine. Nobody showed any cases of engine damage on a GX460 running regular gas. So there's an argument there to just run 87 regular. If you don't know any different, if you don't feel any difference, call it a day, you're good to go. However, the other side over here is, let's use some logic, and I'll argue, if we use logic, we see the one standout with this car, which is what we just mentioned and we just went over. This is the only 4.6 V8 engine by Toyota to use full-time four-wheel drive. Logic tells us that puts a lot more strain and load on the driveline all the time. And therefore, that extra load in a high revving RPM engine, this engine gets its horsepower nearly redline, 55, 53, 5,500 RPMs, which is right at redline. So you got a high revving engine, and it needs to drive this full-time complicated driveline. That's a lot of load. That's a lot of stress. These vehicles also are known to be loaded up with gear, equipment, aftermarket stuff, and they drive in extreme temperatures, the desert like we are here, and heat is also a factor in pre-ignition or knocking. So in a nutshell, it's also going to be put under, shall we say, not abuse, but heavy-duty usage. So that's the only logic that I can find available now about the arguing for using premium gas, other than Toyota engineers said to do so, which that should be in of itself enough alone. But you have to recognize that people have run with 87 with no problem. So it's up ultimately for you to decide what makes more sense, what Toyota says, what people who use who drive with regular fuel say, or some combination of the two. I personally use 91 because of what we just discussed. The only standout is this is the only 4.6 that has the drive drain going all the time, and that says to me that that's probably most likely the reason. Can I prove it? No, I can't. Until somebody measures, gets their scan meter and measures on a dynamometer one versus the other, 87 versus 91, and see what's really going on in here, it's going to be up to you. So I don't know if this is the answer that you wanted to hear, but that's where we're at right now in Lexus GX460 world. If you have any objective data, or even if you don't, if you have anecdotes on this issue, please comment below to add to the discussion, because it really is up in the air about whether this really requires 91 fuel or not. So if you've liked this video, you found it at least a bit helpful or interesting, please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a great day.